Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to make empanadas. I am so excited. Let's get started. So let me show you what you're going to need today. Right here we have all of our ingredients. The most important thing you're going to need are meat. You can choose whatever kind of meat you like. This is ground beef. This is exactly 1 pound. 1 package of empanada dough discs. You can find these at your local grocery store in the freezer section. They have a couple different varieties. One variety has food coloring in it, which makes it like a little bit more orange, and then this one doesn't have any food coloring in it. Some chopped green bell pepper. This is half of a pepper, just kind of like a medium-sized pepper. There's 4 cloves of garlic in here because we love garlic in this house. Here I have some sofrito, I'll explain what that is in a little bit, and half of a white onion. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take our peppers, our garlic, and our onions, and we're gonna make our way to the stove. I just kind of line them up right here, have them ready to go. This is my pot. I already added a little bit of cooking spray to this. You can decide what kind you want to use. I like to go with a milder flavor, like an olive oil. So that's already in there. I'm just gonna add my garlic to the pot. It's gonna cook a little bit. We're just gonna give it like a minute. You don't want to burn your garlic because it'll ruin your entire meal. We learned that the hard way. So just give it some time until it's nice and bubbly. Now we're gonna go ahead and add our onions. And our pepper. Move that around. I'm going to turn the fire down a little bit because these gas stoves are really good and they heat things through really quickly. So you got to turn it down because you don't want your garlic to burn. That's what you want to avoid the most in this situation. So now that that's in there, it's smelling really good, I'm gonna add my sofrito. I just grabbed my sofrito, we're gonna add that in. Sofrito is really amazing. It's basically a mixture of peppers, onions, garlic, cilantro, oregano, all the things that make Hispanic food amazing. So I added that in. And we're just gonna cook that for a little bit. I'm gonna turn the heat up a little. Now we're gonna go ahead and add our meat. We have all of our veggies kind of cooking down a little bit. The fire is kind of in medium because I don't want my garlic to burn. I'm gonna add my meat in now. If you don't have one of these, I highly recommend you buy one. I got this on Amazon, but I've actually been seeing it at different stores lately. You can possibly get it at wherever you would buy kitchen supplies, but this little tool is life-changing because it makes it really easy for you to break up your meat. I'll show you how I use it. I basically just go to town and it just makes everything easier. It's like using a spatula, but 5 spatulas at once. And it's also very satisfying to see this just get destroyed. I don't know, it's literally one of the most simple tools I've ever purchased, but one of the best investments I've made. And the reason why I add all my veggies first is because I like to cut my meat into it. I just feel like it kind of massages all the flavors into the meat. I suppose you could do this in the bowl, but I try to dirty as little bowls as possible because no one likes to wash dishes around here, so we try to avoid it if we can. So here we have the meat. I'm mixing it all in. Our little tool helped us break it down. So now I'm just making sure that all the veggies are incorporated nicely so that all those flavors are distributed. As you can see, there's some liquid over here. That's just from the meat itself. When you cook it down, the water content will start to come out, and it kind of helps keep the veggies from burning. The liquid is nice without having to add water to it. So I'm just gonna let this cook down, and then I will add some spices to make it even more yummy. So now that our meat is cooking and it's basically cooked, I'm gonna add some spices to enhance the flavor. So the first thing I'm going to add is salt. And when it comes to salt, you want to be careful because you can always add more, but you can never take out. So you start off with a little bit. Pepper. I am just grinding some pepper. Yes, this seems super fancy. It's not. I just feel like pepper that's freshly ground really does taste better than pre-ground pepper. And lastly, I am actually going to add some paprika because I like color and I like the kind of smokiness that paprika adds to this. So you don't have to add it if you don't want to, but that's just my personal preference. And then we're gonna mix this up. So we're mixing this up. I'm gonna go ahead and taste this. Don't be afraid to taste your food. I think it needs more salt and it needs more paprika. So adding a little bit more salt, adding some paprika. I never measure anything when I cook, so I'm gonna include all the measurements in the description box once I'm done with the recipe. We're just mixing this up. I'm gonna turn the heat down because the water's evaporating and things are getting pretty steamy over here. But as you can see, the color looks so good. It's starting to get that nice brown, like brown beef color that we all love. The kitchen smells great. Everything looks really good. It looks like our meat is done. So now we're gonna take this to the table and we're gonna start our empanadas. We are ready to start assembling our empanadas. This is what I was showing you guys earlier. These little discs are lifesavers. You could totally make your own dough, but nobody has time for that anymore, especially when you have jobs and children. So why make your life more difficult when you can make your life easy? So these discs basically come like this. They're already pre-rolled out and thin. It's like the perfect thickness, so you don't have to worry about any of that. And they each have like a layer that separates them so that they're not gonna stick to each other. So my island surface is clean, so I'm gonna just lay this down. You're gonna wanna grab a spoon. The size of the spoon, honestly, is up to you. If you like more meat, you can add more meat. If you want less meat, you can add less meat. I'm just gonna go ahead and like put a little bit here in the center. And I think I have enough meat here. So, well, I shouldn't say enough meat. It's never enough meat, but you want it to close, so you don't want to overload it too much. So I'm gonna go ahead and fold it in half. Take your fork and you want to seal it. And we'll show you a little bit more closely in a second what this looks like. But you're basically just sealing the edges of your empanada so that nothing comes out when you're frying it. You do not want your meat coming out in the fryer because that's just not fun. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up. Your empanada should look like this. Super cute. The way my mom always taught me to do it was you lay it down on a platter and then you take that little plastic sheet and lay it on top so that when you're stacking them, they're not sticking to each other. So here are our empanadas. I only made 5 for now, but that amount of meat can make you that entire pack and possibly even more. So it really just depends on how much meat you want to put inside your shell. But these are beautiful. I put the plastic in between so that they don't stick together. And now we're gonna go ahead and move over to the stove. So here in my frying pan, I have a mixture of 2 different kinds of oils. I have avocado oil because it has a nice high smoke point, and I have a little bit of vegetable oil, but you can decide what kind of oil you want to use. I just highly recommend that you use an oil that is not flavored because you don't want it to mess with the flavors that are going on inside your empanada. So avocado is a great option. Traditionally, a lot of Hispanic people use corn oil, canola oil, vegetable oil. It really just depends on what you're comfortable with using. I won't tell you which one to use, but I'm using a little mixture of avocado and vegetable. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna turn on my fire. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes just to let it like heat up nice and hot. And then we'll come back and start frying. So our oil looks like it's really hot. One of the ways I like to test my oil is by just grabbing like a little tiny piece of the empanada like dough, and I just kind of toss it in. And if you look closely, it's already frying. It looks like it's ready to go. Place it in. My frying pan's kind of small, but I don't mind it because you never want to overcrowd your pan anyway. So it's actually better. Everything inside the empanada is fully cooked, so you don't have to worry about like overcooking the outside and the inside staying raw because we already cooked our meat. So what we're looking for is like a nice golden shell on the outside. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and flip these and let the other side get nice and golden. I'm gonna turn the heat up a little bit because if you turn it down too much, then your dough is gonna get just like soggy, and you don't want that. It's kind of like a weird fine balance. Like if you turn it up too much, it'll burn. If you turn it down too much, it'll get soggy. So if you see it start to slow down too much, and it looks like it's not gonna do what it needs to be doing, you can just bump it up a little bit. It's also gonna depend on your stove. I have a gas stove. I love gas stoves. I'm a diehard gas stove kind of girl. So I find that it's easier for me to gauge when I need more or less because fire is just so easy to work with. It's looking really good. That bottom part is looking nice. This is just such an amazing smell in my house. Crazy how they say that smell can unlock memories, because when I smell empanadas, it reminds me of my entire childhood. We have empanadas at every single family event, every gathering, every birthday party, Christmas, and it's one of the things that we look forward to the most. I actually have yet to meet someone who's turned one down. I think it's really cool that if you really look into it, every country has their own form of empanada. Like Ukrainians do like pierogies, and Indians do samosas, and it's just really cool how everyone has their own version of like some kind of meat pocket that everyone seems to love. So I highly recommend you try this recipe. I'm just flipping this over now because it looks like it's nice and golden. We're gonna pull these out, put them on our plates that's ready in our hand because oil is no joke and you want to be prepared. So exciting. This house smells like every single amazing spice plus oil, which I don't necessarily love the smell of oil, but I know that it's because of the empanadas, so I can get past it. I will say they didn't come out perfect. Nothing will ever come out perfect, but it will come out good. So I'm gonna go ahead and dig into one of these. It's very hot. Let me get some of the meat. Delicious. I am so glad I was raised on these, and I can't wait to raise my daughter on these because literally nothing compares to a freshly fried empanada. The fact that I used oil that wasn't flavored too, I think is such a good way to go because you really want to taste the flavors that you added to the meat. You don't want it to be masked by anything, because then what's the point, right? So I think this is amazing. I think your family will love this recipe. I highly recommend you try it. Thank you so much for joining me today. I had so much fun making empanadas with you. This has been a highly requested video from my friends, my family, and I really hope that you'll give this recipe a chance. And you know, feel free to change it up. You don't have to do everything the way I did it. Depending on my mood, my empanadas are gonna taste different. Dominicans don't typically do spicy food, but you can add spice to it if you want to. I highly encourage you to make it your own. Whatever works for your family is gonna be the best thing for your family. Please subscribe. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. And just let me know in the comments, is there anything that you would like me to show you how to make? I love cooking. Cooking is one of my passions, and there are lots of staples that I would love to show you how to make and how to enjoy with your family. If you love empanadas, give me a shout out down in the comment box. I would love to hear from you. Again, thank you so much for joining me. I had so much fun, and I'll see you in the next one.